I opened the elevator grate. I took the elevator to the second floor. Then I opened the elevator grate. Then I opened the door. Later, I entered the room. I wanted to shave, but I cut myself with a razor. I was all covered in blood. I took a bath and washed off the blood. I went out into the corridor. Then I opened the door. Then I opened the elevator grate. I took the elevator to the ground floor. I opened the elevator grate. Later, I opened the door and walked out into the street. I opened the gate. For a moment, I admired the charming streets of Montmartre. I do not recall that part. I knocked, but no one answered. I opened the door and entered my building. I opened the inner door. I opened the elevator grate. I took the elevator to the first floor. I opened the elevator grate. I knocked, but no one answered. I knocked at Monsieur Brissot's door, and he called back after some time.
Do you always visit your neighbors at such odd hours?
Monsieur Brissot is the only neighbor I like. I believe with reciprocity. He goes to sleep late, and sometimes we like to argue about politics and the influence of La Révolution on today's France.
Please, return to your testimony.
I heard noises coming from the kitchen. I thought it was Monsieur Brissot preparing his dinner, and I wanted to say hello. But it was not him, only a woman.
Did you recognize this woman?
Not immediately. She seemed familiar, but I did not know who she was.
Please testify.
I opened the door to the living room. There was a letter tucked into Monsieur Brissot's book. The Lordship Service Association was the sender. Monsieur le Président, this is the evidence marked with number 10. It is a letter sent by a fictitious organization to Monsieur Brissot, which, as it was said in the letter, cultivated traditions of the French nobility and was sending Madame Capet as servant for free. The letter was sent several days before the murder. So the question arises, who had really sent Marie Capet to Monsieur Brissot? And what were their intentions?
Thank you for the clarification. The accused may continue to testify.
The apartment of Monsieur Brissot was full of memorabilia. I looked at them for a moment. I stared out the window at the quiet street of Montmartre. For a good 10 minutes I talked to Monsieur Brissot, and again we had an argument about La Révolution. Monsieur Brissot felt regret that in modern France the high birth was no longer relevant. Also he boasted that he had hired a maid. I do not know where he found the money for her salary and did not see any effects of her work. His apartment was a mess, as usual.
Wasn't that an odd thing for you?
Yes, Monsieur le Président. If someone hires a servant, one can expect order. And in this apartment there was none.
Did your neighbors say anything else about the maid?
Yes, I was going to say it. It turned out that it was Marie Capet, my old classmate. We grew up in the same city, and I had not known that she had moved to Paris.
So you admit that you knew the victim?
Oui, I knew who she was. I didn't want to appear nosy, but I was curious about what... I opened the door to the living room of Monsieur Brissot. I was curious to see behind the door, but did not want to... I opened the door and walked out into the hallway. I decided to use the stairs instead of the elevator. Then I opened the door to my apartment and entered. I watched the frames hanging on the wall. I loved their simplicity. It enhanced my creativity. For a moment, I watched the rooftops of Paris through the window. Then I opened the door. I put my groceries in. I looked into the vegetable box to check if I needed to buy any. Then I ate some leftover oysters with a few caviar tarts from my lunch. I also drank some good wine. I opened the inner door. I examined the historic tableware in the dining room. Then I opened the door. I opened the elevator grate. Then I used the stairs. I checked the elements of my cleaning machine, assessing what remained to be done. I started to work on my new cleaning machine. After 30 minutes, I used the stairs. I cut myself while shaving. My body was stained with blood. I heard someone knocking at the door. I opened it, and there she was, Marie Capet. She saw my condition, and it apparently got her upset, but I assured her that everything was in order. I invited Marie Capet inside. She said she remembered me from school and was curious how things turned out for me. She had been recently hired as a maid by my neighbor, Monsieur Brissot. I showed her my apartment, my designs and inventions. She was delighted. So I thought maybe she would be interested in my interrogation machine. I took her to my private workshop. Then I felt a blow to my head, and I collapsed on the floor. I woke up some time later. My head ached, and I was all covered in blood. Marie Capet was nowhere to be found. I saw a spare part of my invention lying on the ground. I saw traces of my blood on it. I saw that the safe was open, and Capet had stolen the designs of my most important invention.
Why do you think Madame Capet did it?
I don't know, Monsieur le Président, but I was going to find out. I picked up the mechanical dagger lying on the desk.
Why do you need a weapon, Monsieur Eaton?
I wear it to ensure my safety.
Do you feel unsafe?
I am a wealthy gypsy. At least 1/3 of the population of this city wants me dead.
I understand. Please continue.
My journal, in which I described the construction process of my interrogation machine, was on my desk. Monsieur le Président, this is the evidence marked with number 3. It clearly shows that my client had only his best intentions during the construction of his interrogation device. According to his plan, it would be forwarded to the prosecutor's office and law enforcement agencies in order to improve the effectiveness of interrogation. My client also wrote that the first test of the machine would be conducted under the supervision of the Ministère de la Justice.
Thank you, Counselor. The accused may return to his testimony.
Then I turned on my prototype machine to interrogate prisoners. Then I turned off my prototype machine to interrogate prisoners. I saw a spare part of my invention lying on the ground. I saw traces of my blood on it. I changed into clean clothes. Then I opened the door. Then I used the stairs. I examined the new sculptures in my apartment. They beautifully fit the decor and the marble. I opened the elevator grate. I used my freight elevator to go to the basement. Then I opened the grate of my private elevator. I took the freight elevator to my apartment. Usually I use it to take up boxes with parts from the basement. I opened the elevator grate. I opened the door and walked out into the stairwell. I used the stairs. I knocked at Monsieur Brissot's door, and he called back after some time. I opened the door to the living room of Monsieur Brissot. I started asking Monsieur Brissot about his new servant, if he knew where she was and what she had been doing in my apartment. He said he had no knowledge whatsoever about any of this, and he regretted that she had violated the peace of the building. He let me look around her room because he thought that maybe I would find some sort of clue explaining her outrageous behavior. Then I opened the door to go in Marie Capet's room. There were clippings about me hanging on the wall. They described my access to money, my inventions, and my achievements.
Monsieur le Président, this is the evidence marked with number 7. One can conclude that the victim is obviously obsessed with my client.
Thank you for your clarifications, Monsieur Eaton.